Hi everybody, my name is Hayden. Welcome back to Hang and Vibe, episode 20. I've got a special guest with me today. I'm with Jonathan Cruse, who's pastor of Community Presbyterian Church, my pastor. Listeners will have heard me talk about his sermons in previous episodes, and that's what we're going to do today. Last week, in the morning, you preached on 2 Samuel chapter 6, verses 1 through 23.
I did, yes.
Yeah, which is about worship. And it's two stories that kind of go together, which I've never actually heard them preached together, but I like how you connected them, which is the story of Uzzah reaching out to steady the ark and being struck down, and then the second story is about Michal, David's wife, criticizing him for being joyful in worship.
Right, yeah.
I liked how you kind of set it up as like the two kind of ingredients to worship, the fear in the first place and then joy in the second place.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess we should go ahead and talk about like those in turn. First, like the fear of God. Kind of, if you want to maybe recap how the first story teaches us that the fear of God is an important ingredient in worship.
Sure. Yeah. So, why does Uzzah get killed? Because he touches the ark. The reason is because God's word strictly stipulated that no human beings were to touch the ark ever. If it needed to be transported, you would carry it on poles.
Yeah.
And that instruction is given because of the supreme holiness of God and the deep sin of mankind, and how those things can't intermix. Just like no one can see God and live. It's sort of that idea.
Yeah.
But where the fear of God is lacking is in David's kind of cavalier attitude to bringing the ark into Jerusalem on a cart in the first place.
That's true, yeah.
So he's disobeying God there. Then when they get in a situation where the cart, starts to tip over and Uzzah has to touch it, he dies. David's mad at God, not mad at himself for disobeying God's word. And so that sort of attitude is one that still exists in the hearts of many people, most people, I would say, today, which is this kind of disregard for God's word, this idea that we can come to God on our own terms. And Uzzah is a serious warning to us of the dangers of that kind of mentality.
Yeah. I hear this passage preached a lot in the context of like the regulative principle of worship, which was kind of a new topic to me when I started to really dig into like Reformed theology.
Sure.
But
right.
Yeah,
and that means that God's worship needs to be regulated by His word, right? Yeah,
because it's a very common sentiment, I think, in Christianity nowadays, that it's really the motive that is all that matters. Like if you're sincere, it doesn't matter, like what you do in worship, as long as it's, heartfelt and sincere, and that's easy a sentiment to kind of buy into because it sounds right, and there's truth to it, and you even mentioned in the sermon how the heart does matter.
Of course, yeah.
But it's not.
But so do our actions.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I think you said in the sermon that having the right motives doesn't make up for the wrong actions, and
vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So and that sort of connects to the second ingredient, which is the motives.
Yeah.
Even if you are doing the right thing, if you are not doing it with joy, then it's
right. So Isaiah condemns God's people, and Jesus quotes this in the Gospels, right? The people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. So they're saying the right things, but there's no joy in it.
Yeah.
And that was Michal's issue, is that she was all about decorum and doing the right thing and looking the right way, even though her heart was far from God. And David rightly rebukes her for that in this when she he brings so the reason what connects the story isn't just the theme of worship but the central place of the ark too, right? It's all about the story of the ark getting into Jerusalem, and these kind of two scenarios on the way, or these two kind of scenes that happen on the way. And in the second one, David's I think learned his lessons. Clearly he's learned his lesson. It took 3 months. He gave up on his trip to Jerusalem for 3 months, but finally they bring the ark in, and he's rejoicing. He's not any longer sulking that God is God and he gets to call the shots. He rejoices in that. And that's what we should all do, recognizing God knows what he's doing, and it's better to be in his care than to have control. Michael, on the other hand, sulks. And so the idea of this sermon was just to say we need both of these things. We need to have fear, reverence, we could call it, but a reverence without joy is a dull kind of worship.
There's a book by Michael Reeves, I think.
Okay.
Rejoice and Tremble.
That's right. Yeah.
I read that
over there somewhere.
Yeah. Have you read it?
I have. When it came out, I read it.
I read that a couple years ago. It's
really the fear of God, right?
Yeah, really compelling, and I should read it again because it's really inspiring. In terms of the heart position in worship and how it's the fear of God is not something that should cause us to pull away from Him, but it's something that should draw us nearer to Him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so that was the title of my sermon, and both of us got that from Psalm 2, verse 11, which says, "Rejoice and tremble, before the Lord." So
I liked it. It was a good sermon.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
And in the evening, you preached on 1 Corinthians 12, verses 1 through 11, and that is about authentic spirituality. Kind of introducing the topic of spiritual gifts.
Right, yeah.
And I like the 4 points that you kind of presented as far as what authentic spirituality has behind it. There's the surprising partner to spirituality, which is the mind.
Thinking.
Right. And I think you used the first couple verses to support that, like when Paul is talking to the Corinthians, he says, he doesn't want them to be uninformed. He wants them to understand things about the Spirit.
Right, and I don't think I mentioned this in the sermon, but Paul is going to go on to say in chapter 14 about the importance of the mind in worship too. So he'll say, I sing with my spirit, but I also sing with my mind.
Yeah.
So it's just this idea of you can't switch off your brain, or rather, switching off your brain is not the step towards like letting go and letting God, or like being really truly in tune with God.
Yeah.
You need to engage your mind to be in tune with God.
Yeah, and that's why we sing, theologically rich psalms and hymns in our worship, and not just repetitive melodies and stuff. That's that, and I also like the fact that worship is like it's part of like edifying one another, because we're singing sort of to one another and everything. But and the ultimate goal of authentic spirituality, that's the second point. The ultimate goal is to glorify Jesus Christ. I was kind of convicted because one of the phrases that you used was that you talked about the analogy of the spotlight. Yeah. And how if the spotlight is shaking back and forth, we take it off of Jesus and put it back on ourselves and stuff. And I don't know, I'm kind of convicted by that, because I do this podcast where I spotlight different musical artists and everything, and I even use the word spotlight, and it's like, man, I feel like I don't do enough talking about Jesus in the podcast. And
well, you open up every time with this.
I do, yeah.
That's good.
That's great. So I'm glad that we're doing this in this segment, and I think too, it's not a bad thing to talk about like musical artists and stuff, as long as we remember that the one that created music and the reason music is glorious is because God made it, and he made melodies and he made harmonies and stuff, and it's a good creation that we can enjoy as long as we enjoy it with thanksgiving to him. So.
That's right.
But yeah, so all of the spiritual gifts that God has given to us are all for the purpose of glorifying Jesus. And I liked that chiasm that you pointed out, with how it says that no one speaking in the Spirit of God ever says Jesus is accursed, and no one can say Jesus is Lord except in the Holy Spirit.
Right.
So the chiasm has the Jesus in the middle, because even the Spirit's goal is to
put him
point
in the
to
center.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know, that's neat, isn't it?
And then the one source of spirituality is God.
Even though there's all kinds of differences, it's the one God.
Yeah, I like that point too, like the diversity of gifts, how there's a variety of different things, but there's one source. And
and if you tune in tomorrow night, there's that same theme kind of picks up again with the image of the body, right? The idea is different parts but one body. So
so in future sermons, Jonathan will talk more about the different gifts that are mentioned, but the two that you did kind of spotlight, or I guess three you kind of spotlighted. There was the utterance of wisdom and the utterance of knowledge,
right?
Which points even to the first point, which is that the surprising partner of the mind.
Right. You're right. I don't think I had made that connection, but
but you did mention that there's a reason those are at the top of the list, is because the priority of teaching the word is the main priority of the church. And then the other one that you kind of talked a little bit more about was the faith.
Right.
How faith is given to some.
Yeah, and the reason I did that is I just didn't want people to be confused because I think the first way you read it kind of doesn't sound right.
It is kind of surprising, because doesn't everybody have faith? But how did you explain it again?
That the idea there would be more like faithfulness or steadfastness. Some have a gift of kind of tenacity under trial.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not the idea of believing, right? God gives that to everyone indiscriminately. I mean, every Christian indiscriminately. But then some believing Christians are able to endure in a way that not everyone is. And so that's a spiritual gift.
Yeah. The passage also mentions healing, miracles, prophecy, discernment.
And unfortunately, we have to talk about Dr. Dog, so we don't have time to get into that.
Yeah, so stay tuned and check out Jonathan's future sermons if you want to know more about spiritual gifts. But last point is the happy result, which is building up the church. And
that's right. Yeah, the common good.
Common good of the church. Yeah.
So are these your notes from the sermon?
Mm-hmm.
So you take your iPad, and are you typing during the sermon, or you transcribe later, or how's it? It looks like you got a lot of material.
I took a lot of these during the sermon, but then I also re-listen during the week and take additional notes and stuff. So
that's really impressive. I think that's very commendable.
Yeah, thanks.
You look like you have my sermon there. Like that's how much info is there. It's like just
well, and I want to get better at talking about spiritual things and talking about the Bible and stuff. And I feel like one of the things that makes me apprehensive to do that is not knowing what I'm talking about. So I feel like if I take detailed notes and really make sure I understand the passage, it makes me more confident to talk about it. So yeah, Dr. Dog.
Dr. Dog.
So I discovered this band through you. When I was actually checking out the church, I was like, this pastor, like, what's he all about? So I think I checked out your Instagram or something, and you had posted something about Dr. Dog, and you're like checking out our favorite band. So then I went on Spotify and listened to their, at the time, newest album, which was Critical Equation, and the first song on that is Listening In, and
was that in your top 10?
that was one of, because immediately that was the first song I heard by them, and immediately I was hooked. I was like, okay, this pastor has good taste. So how did you come around to finding Dr. Dog?
So I was living in Philadelphia, where they're based.
Yeah.
And it was 2011. And for spring break, I flew to Los Angeles to spend a week with my cousins, who were attending Biola University. And they introduced me to Dr. Dog. So it was funny that I had to leave Philadelphia, go to California. And I remember listening to them pretty intensely then on the flight back. And the memory I was landing in the airport and waiting for a train to come get me and listening to them in the airport. Just sitting there for like a couple hours and listening to the album. Oh, this is sad. Why am I blanking on the title of the album?
Fate?
Thank you. Yeah. Like kind of on repeat.
Nice.
So that was my first exposure to them. And Easy Beat I had at that time, but I definitely connected with Fate better. And then shortly thereafter, they came out with, or I got a hold of, Shame Shame. So Fate and Shame Shame are, in my mind, kind of like the two initial Dr. Dog albums that I got interested in.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's funny that you were listening to Fate while waiting for a train, because I feel like that album has a lot of train.
Yeah, it does.
names
It
in
does, right? Yeah, and you can hear the on a lot of the tracks.
Yep.
Yeah, it is funny.
Yeah, do you want to talk about some of the songs off of Fate that stood out to you?
Sure. The Breeze, Hang On, Old Days, Rabbit Bat in the Race. So I skipped Army of Ancients. That one's, I mean, they're all good, but that one doesn't. I'm not a big fan of The Ark or The Beach, and everybody loves The Beach. Have you seen them live yet?
I have not.
Yeah, so I've seen them 10 times, and they always do The Beach.
Okay.
And that seems to be most people's like favorite song.
I know, I've listened to it, but it's not one that stood out to me either.
Yeah, My Friend is probably my favorite on the album. Yeah, boy,
Yeah,
I love a lot of these.
I liked a lot of them. My Friend is good. It's almost two songs in one. Yeah. It's kind of has, the first section, and then in the middle there's kind of like a guitar solo that sort of bridges between them.
I love that song. And me and my friends in college would always have a fun time trying to figure out when the second song would kick in.
Oh, really?
Because there's just this long dun 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 dun
yep.
dun dun
yep.
dun dun, and that would be like a contest with us. Could we come in and keep on with at the right time? Keep on with the... Yeah.
Nice.
And that's also cool because you get Toby and Scott. Toby sings the first part, and then Scott comes in the second. So I like that. Now, when they do it live, they do that, but they rarely. I've only heard them do My Friend once. Oh. They do The Breeze a lot, and in The Breeze, Toby sings the bridge, which isn't in the album. I mean, Scott sings the whole thing in the album.
Are there dark parts to your mind? Hidden secrets left behind?
But I like songs when they kind of switch. So that's part of the reason I think I liked My Friend.
Yeah. You mentioned The Breeze. I like that one too. I think that one has some kind of Beach Boys vibes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think in general they do. Their music does. And From, I love the guitar solo from.
More
train stuff.
Take a choo-choo train, rolling away. Another choo-choo rain, wash me away with river heart.
And Rabbit the Bat and the Reindeer is, that would be probably the second favorite on that album.
Okay, nice.
And that one's a lot of fun to hear them do live. They add about a 2-minute guitar solo.
Oh, really?
To the end of the song. It's just like this really intense jam.
Nice.
Yeah, and so they have. I don't know if they have live albums.
Yeah.
5 of them, 6 of them maybe even.
Oh.
And so it's on 1 or 2 of those. You can hear how they do it. It's really cool. Yeah.
Is I don't know if there's a comprehension of this, but when I think of the rabbit, the bat, and the reindeer, is that like a reference to Easter, Halloween, and Christmas or something?
I always assumed it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what it.
Their lyrics are
gives
so
me
clever. What I like about Dr. Dog is that it's not just like schmaltzy, sentimental like love songs.
Yeah.
And it's not like morbidly introspective like poetry that's just like about the emptiness of life. It's just kind of really good English, especially Scott. Like Scott's just really good at taking idioms and phrases, and he just strings them together, and it kind of like is nonsensical sometimes, but it's really beautiful to hear, and it just kind of flows off the tongue. Like "Do the Trick," you know that song?
Oh,
that's on "Be the Void." It's 4 minutes of him rhyming with the word trick. Yeah, my heart isn't running right. Why don't you give it a kick?
Oh, okay.
You can do the trick.
Maybe I've heard it once. Yeah.
That
sounds kind of funny.
I've thrown everything at the wall, but nothing will stick. Like it's just like.
Nice.
Won't you free my hands of time? Will you do the trick?
And there's a couple songs where he does that kind of thing. That old black hole.
Oh yeah, that was one that you put on your list.
Yeah, same thing like the weeping willow that's crying and stuff. Just like clever stuff.
Yeah.
These are tears of joy, cries the weeping willow. There's a spirit in the air, and there ain't no way.
Yeah. You said that you didn't particularly connect with Army of Ancients, but that is actually one of my favorite songs on that
Yeah,
album.
so here's the deal, Hayden. Your list is like my bottom favorites.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no.
And I like all of them because I love almost all their songs, but
Yeah.
it's just interesting. Like which I think speaks to like their genius.
Yeah,
is that-
everybody can enjoy.
right, exactly.
something.
And so like they have this sort of like catalog within their catalog that I like, and then they have like this catalog within their catalog that you're more drawn to.
Yep. Yeah. I do like Army of Ancients. Got some nice piano and strings and some saxophone parts.
How did the fox get the raven to grow?
I like
that one. Yeah.
I like some of the sort of harshness in the vocals, like especially when he's like yells out "I'm sorry" at one point. I just like I like that kind of stuff. So.
I'll skip the sun and stick to the booze. I'm sorry. Well, I'll take what I want.
I feel like that one's the exception though to your list that you gave me. Do you have your list there?
Yeah, I've got all of them.
Can you just read it again?
I picked listening in "Keep a Friend" from "We All Belong," which I do. I want to mention that one because the chorus specifically reminds me of Grizzly Bear, who I wanted you to check out, but I didn't have time. But you should check out Grizzly Bear because they do similar style to.
Okay, Grizzly Bear.
Yeah.
All right.
So the chorus of "Keep a Friend" with like the piano and the falsetto vocals.
Okay.
Really makes me think of them.
I intend to keep a friend in love.
And then from "Be the Void," I like "Lonesome."
Yeah, Lonesome's good.
Yeah.
I like Lonesome.
It's got a nice, the sort of stomp clap beat, the cool like country blues guitar in it.
Oh, what does it take to be lonesome? Nothing at all. What does it take to be lonesome?
You know what?
The lyrics of that one too.
I'm looking again at the list. I think I misspoke.
Okay.
I do like a lot of these, but like Cuckoo. I hate that one.
No, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love Cuckoo.
and listening, and I don't like listening.
Oh, okay.
Keep a Friend, I don't like that.
Maybe you wouldn't like Grizzly.
But I love These Days and How Long Must I Wait.
Yeah, These Days.
Phenomenon. Nelly. Who doesn't like Nelly? Nelly's great.
Yeah.
That's my wife's favorite one. Is Nelly.
Nelly, nice.
Yeah.
The song "How Long Must I Wait."
Love that one. That's like one of their most popular ones on Spotify.
Is it? Yeah, I'm surprised. My funny memory of that is when we went to a young adult bonfire at, I think, the Shoemakers, and you and Carrie Ann were sitting by the fire, and Mike was there, and I was showing him this song. I'm like, you gotta hear this new song by Dr. Dog, and I didn't realize how loud my phone, the volume was.
Yeah.
So I started playing "How Long Must I Wait," and like the whole backyard could hear it, and Carrie Ann turns around and she's like, who's playing Dr. Dog?
Dr. Dog.
Yeah.
That one's got a great intro. That's it. Yeah, that's it.
They have such good guitar melodies.
Yeah.
Such memorable melodies in all their songs.
I climbed my voice to the top of my lungs, but I'm standing on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, Where All the Time Goes, my all-time favorite. And
Yeah.
That my only complaint about that one is it's too short.
Yeah, that's true.
But I love the melody.
Yeah, the sort of flute like kind of loop.
Yep, that's right. Yeah. Which is similar to, even though that one's on Shame Shame, that to me has Fate kind of overtones.
Okay, yeah. I like too the sort of background, like at least in the intro, where it's like the
Yeah.
when they do that loop. Yeah, that's a cool song.
Phenomenon's okay, but I like Long Way Down way better than Phenomenon. And I think of them together because they're like back to back on that.
Oh, okay.
I think. But that one's got saxophone too.
Long Way Down?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Long Way Down just has some genius musical elements to it. Because, like, to me, the title of the song is like, a long way down. It makes me think of, a cliff or something.
Yeah.
And
Chasm or something.
Yeah, and in the music itself, like, the bass, I feel like the low bass is like, kind of, to me, conveys like a sort of depth, like really deep down low bass. And then the way the vocals are like that makes me think of, like the big like height between the depth and the height. And then I think it must be the saxophone melody. It's like the
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That to me makes me think of, like teetering on like a tightrope or a cliff or something. And it's like just the imagery that the music itself conveys.
What's interesting in that one's the chorus they like flip the melody with the lyrics. So
Really?
Long way down, he sings up high, and then he goes, it's a long way up, and he sings that really low.
You're right. Yeah, he does. That is interesting.
Long way down. It's a long way up.
That's right. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, it is.
I really want to highlight Phenomenon because that's probably one of my favorite songs by them.
Yeah.
I just love the sort of folk sound to it, and the violin and that. It's really good. And there's some parts that I think have like some trumpet too.
So he's doing it again. You ask and you receive, you learn to make believe. Like he just takes like these phrases that all sound familiar to us, and he throws them in an interesting order, and it's just
Yeah.
Toby is more like trying to tell a story. I feel like Scott's just kind of doing goofy things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Nelly, we mentioned.
Yeah, right.
That one really good. I
That's
feel like
for his daughter.
is it who his daughter?
Toby's daughter. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, every time I listen to it, I always think of it as like talking to like a grandparent that has like Alzheimer's or something.
Oh really?
But yeah, because it talks about like I know I'm somewhere in there and I want to like wander from room to room and stuff. I always think of it.
No, I guess it's a whole different feeling. But no, it's very much written for his daughter Nellie and singing her to sleep.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's like he talks about the book of Aesop's fables on it's like her bedroom. Yeah.
Okay.
And then he's wondering, you've fallen asleep in my arms, like, I wonder what you're dreaming about.
Yeah.
Am I in there somewhere?
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Okay. that puts a whole different spin on it. But yeah, I like that. I didn't even bother to like research what it was about. I just kind of put my own into it.
I like yours. Yours is interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, that's a really good one. It has a really nice melody in the chorus too.
Oh Nelly, oh Nelly, oh Nelly, yeah.
You've mentioned how they do a lot of good storytelling. One of the songs that you put on your list was "Humble Passenger." I feel like that has a lot of good storytelling in it.
Yeah. But it's so bizarre. It's just weird story, but it's awesome.
Yep.
And that's one I've always wanted to hear them do live that they've never done.
They haven't done that one live? Oh, man.
Not anyone that I've been at.
It's really cool how it just goes between different like melody, like different sections. How there's like the kind of part that's got more of like a minor key, and then it kind of goes into like a more upbeat, like when he goes into like the dream sequence.
Right, the dream sequence is really cool. Yeah. No, I mean they keep it. You don't feel, at least in my estimation, it doesn't feel like it's as long as it is. The song.
Yeah.
Right.
How long is it?
Like 6.5 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's an epic. It's a tale. I want to go back and mention "Get Away" from "Be the Void."
Mm-hmm.
That one, I love the sort of like the choral part with like the in the I guess it would be the chorus, but that the sort of it's like the I love that melody and like the violin that plays. Yes. Love it.
And then it's got a little bit of like bongos, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Am I thinking of it correctly?
Yeah. It's a good song overall. I feel like I could skip like the verse sections and stuff, but I listen to it mainly for the chorus. Yeah, it's so good. And the violin kind of doing the harmony.
I mean, that's my favorite thing about their music is probably the vocals, like the harmonies they do, and Frank the Tank. He's their lead guitar, or he does mostly the lead, not the rhythm.
Okay.
But he's got this really high pitched voice that does really good harmonies.
I haven't paid attention to the other vocalists other than Toby and
Scott. Yeah, well, you hear him, he's on every song, but he's just always doing backup stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And it's a little bit more obvious when they're live.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they always do it, the three of them are in the front, and he's very tall, and Toby's like normal, and then Scott's short. So they always put them in order of their height. It's funny.
Nice.
They stay in the front, and they got Eric on the drums, and hopefully they don't listen to this because I always forget the pianist's name, but then he's back there too, so that's how they do their setup, two in the back, three in the front.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I was looking up here the set list for the last time I heard them. It might be interesting.
When was the last time you heard them?
I heard their second to last concert, where they did a farewell tour, and then they had 5 nights in Philadelphia, and we saw them the second to last night in Philadelphia, so that would have been December of 21, I think. Okay. We almost couldn't go because I got COVID there. that did happen. Okay, December 30th, 2021, that was when I went.
Okay.
So they open up with my all-time favorite, Where'd All the Time Go? Nice. Under the Wheels.
Oh.
Heart Killer.
Oh, yep.
Hang On. Jackie Wants Black Eye. Die, Die, Die. The Way the Lazy Do, which that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yesterday, a day got older, passed away, got one day older. Now it seems like
I Hope There's Love. Buzzing in the Light. That was good. Be the Void. Distant Light. Listening In. Yeah, your favorite.
follow the distance. Oh, you know I will follow the distance.
I Can't Fly, which is an old one. Hard at Races, their cover. The Breeze, Nelly, The Rabbit, the Bat, and the Reindeer, Lonesome, and then they left. Then they came back and they did Oh No.
I like the guitar solo in that one.
Me too. Yeah. Survive, I Know, Bring My Baby Back, and then they ended with Shadow People.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so fond memories. Hopefully we'll get to see them again, even though they announced that, that was the end. So
Yeah.
they've done a few one-off shows since then, but they said they were done touring.
Okay.
So like this new album came out, Dr. Dog, and they didn't tour it. They did 2 shows. One in Colorado and somewhere else. So I hope I'll see them again. That would be the 11th time.
Nice.
And hopefully you can go for your first time.
Yeah, that'd be cool. You mentioned one more song, the one that I had never even heard before, the song California. I think it's only on one of their live albums, right?
No, it's an old one off of an EP called
is it?
Takers and Leavers.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It has like 4 or 5 songs on it.
Ah,
Yeah, that would have been like pre We All Belong.
wow.
Yeah, after Easy Beat, around that time.
Okay.
So that was actually the first dance that Carrie and I had at our wedding.
Really?
Yeah.
To the song California?
California, 'cause
Oh,
we were moving to California the next day,
that
and it's a lovely song.
Yeah.
California,
it
where the
reminds me
warm
of,
sun shines, California, and it's stripped down. It's just acoustic guitar and
that's like
harmony. Yeah,
Reminds me of the Birds a little bit.
yeah, it does.
Shines California, though you're far away, your love is here today.
Any other songs you want to talk about before we wrap up? Or?
The thing, once you get hooked on a group, then everything they've ever done you love, and then once they start coming out with stuff, then it's when you become judgmental, right? So when you first find it, it's like, oh yeah, that's great, of course, but then so I remember, the release of every album after Shame. So I think Be the Void was next, then Be Room came after that, and then The Psychedelic Swamp.
Yeah. Which technically was like one of their first albums, right?
That they
But
redid,
re-released it.
yeah. What do you think of The Psychedelic Swamp?
I liked a few songs on it. I think the first one that stood out to me was Good Grief.
Yeah.
Yeah, Good Grief is a pretty good one on that.
Kind of beers in a bit of a truck, but good grief.
And there's some kind of not really instrumental, but like lyrically sparse songs on that I really like.
Well, it's very psychedelic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably my least favorite album, but Good Grief is good. I like Holes in My Back.
I was gonna mention that one, Holes in My.
Bring My Baby Back, Swampadelic Pop, Dead Record Player. See, so here's the thing. It's like I'll come out and be like, I'm not sure I like this, and then I realize, months, years in, it's like, oh, actually, I do like most of that. And then Abandoned Mansion, in my mind, was like a different style that they've maintained since then.
Yeah,
Do you agree with that?
It's a lot kind of more mellow. I think a lot of their older songs are a lot more upbeat and
more mellow. I think
fast-paced.
the production quality is more stripped down.
Yeah,
So there's Abandoned Mansion, Critical Equation, and their newest one.
just self-titled.
And that's just Dr. Dog, right? Yeah. And I like them all, but I think in my mind, like when I think of Dr. Dog, I think of the kind of sound that you get in Be Room and Shame.
Yeah.
Be the Void. Those ones.
Yeah, when I was going through, I like the newer albums, but when I was putting together my top 10, I was like, well, all of my top 10s are from their older stuff.
Except for listening.
And I mainly like that one just because it was the first song I heard.
Of course.
So it has that memory attached.
So yeah, like Abandoned Mansion, I like Jim's song a lot.
Well, I drive by her house to see his bike outside.
Abandoned Mansion, I like a lot. It's more like I wish that entire album was interspersed in in other albums, but it's kind of like we're gonna do all mellow ones and put them on an album. So it's like, okay, that's fine. Yeah, but
I like Casual Free Fall from that album, the opening track, that was pretty good. I like there's a part in the song where he says the line, "I back off the pedal." And like when he says that, it's like the music cuts out, so it's almost like he's saying, like, I'm taking a break, we're slowing down, and then like the music cuts out,
Yeah, that's clever.
Hear the engines hush with no.
I think if I keep going, I'll never stop. Okay. So it definitely has made me want to go and listen to them on the car ride home now.
Nice.
Yeah.
So real quick before we wrap up, I want to spotlight one more song by a different artist. This is a song by actually my cousin, Harrison Riddle. He releases music under the name Riddle M, and he just released a new album, which is called Low Stereo. And I love the song Scarecrow on this album. It's very oldies sounding, kind of like Dr. Dog in a way. But yeah, just really good guitar in this song, and some really good guitar riffs, and just I think this is the best song on the album in my opinion. But the whole album's pretty good, and you should check it out. I'm always happy to promote music by a relative, so. All right, well, that will wrap it up for this episode. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Jonathan, for agreeing to be a part of this episode.
Thanks for hanging and vibing with me.
For sure. And as always, check out the description where you can listen to all the songs in the Spotify playlist that we recommended. Check out Jonathan's sermons, both the AM and the PM service. I'll link in the description. And just stay tuned for the next episode, and have a good week.